This is absolutely fantastic. I am back. Hey, listen, I keep coming back. I'm like a bad rash after a while. I just keep coming back to see you all on this Thursday at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And what I get to do in this point for Sabian's Education Network, which is managed by Joe Bergamini, this is so great. I get to sit and talk to these fantastic drummers worldwide that I learned from and then I meet. And part of the object here for Sabian at the Sabian Education Network is to introduce people globally. You know, there's a certain way of looking at this here where there's a huge world out there, and we've got these great, great players out there. So today I want to bring you from just outside of Brussels in Belgium. Would you please welcome Mr. Claude Hoffman. Claude, thank you so much for joining me.
Good evening. Thanks for inviting me. It's a big honor for me.
Thanks so much, Claude. You know, this is so great as this happens. We have this platform that lets us reach drummers all around the world and people that are popping on. Dave Lewitt just joined us. He's here. It's so great to have these great teachers. Dave's another guy I'm going to have at some point on this here to interview, because a lot of you guys have great things that you're doing and great things to offer that can help the entire Sabian Education Network globally. So, Claude, tell me about, listen, you're in your studio right now. Fill me in. You started playing drums at an early age. You got involved in playing originally from Belgium, right?
From Luxembourg.
From Luxembourg originally.
Luxembourg. So my parents are in Luxembourg, yes.
Interesting. Now, Luxembourg, just say though, is a small little country that's really close driving distance to where Belgium is.
Indeed. 2 hours drive. I'm there. So for us, for Luxembourg is a long trip because we crossed the country in 1 hour.
In New York, that's just driving from one state to the next state. So I understand the challenge. Yeah. So tell me about it when you were younger and you started playing music, you got involved with drumming. What was it like growing up playing drums in Luxembourg?
In Luxembourg, actually, there is a huge brass band culture. So almost every village has its brass band, which goes for official official what you call it when you have like you're celebrating the birthday of the embarkment or things like that.
Absolutely. So it's really kind of like country and community events.
Yes.
The brass band. Now, what the brass band consists of? What?
The brass band is mainly horns, saxophones, trumpets, plus then a few people on the percussion stands. So sometimes it's only like when I was young, I was the only one playing drum set. And it could be vibraphones, xylophones, it could be even just one guy on the snare drum, another on the. So it depends on the size of the brass band, on how many people or even kids are interested in the percussion section.
So would they have a bass drum player and a cymbal player with the other types?
Yes. So that's the way I started. But first of all, so it was for me, it was a little bit particular because I started with my brother and we got into the marching band. Now you cannot compare this marching band with the American show marching band. So it's what we were doing is doing the basic beats for marching, so that the horn section could rest a little bit.
Yeah.
So while we were walking in the streets, we would play during the rest for the horn sections. And then we would, or just one of the players would play during the marching songs, which still are very military type.
So in America we have these marching bands in schools, and sometimes the bands are 200 students. They're huge, but people don't realize that marching band concept started in Europe. These local bands that were there were smaller bands. When it came to America, we built on it and probably marketed ourselves better on what it was. And we got involved in every school system. These brass bands are in each individual village, Now,
Yes.
did you have to audition to play drums in that?
No, not at all. Everybody is invited because this is really a social. It's like a club. You join if you like to, and if there's a spot on whatever instruments you can do it. Of course, the what you get to play depends on the level you have. And some of these brass bands, like we call them hors fanfare or harmonie, which means it's a bit mixed, but the ones they have more flutes and clarinets than the other ones.
Interesting.
A little bit like this, and very often as well, if there is a part missing on one instrument, for example the trombone, or the trombone is a bit particular because you need to be able to do it, but somebody who plays trumpet can swap over to a tuba, for example, because it's still the same system. So if somebody's missing on the tuba, hey, can you not do this tonight, or so they might swap.
Well, how fantastic. You got involved at an early age. And, you know, I love the community-minded socialization of what that is. Everyone kind of gets together and you learn to play. People start teaching you. They share ideas.
It's in the beginning, it was really like self-teaching, and the how do you call that in English? The chief of the band learned us a lot for this marching stuff. So it was kind of a drill. But it was cool.
But and it brought you together, and it got you involved with playing music. And what's interesting too is we have many people that are logging on right now to listen from all around the world. I know many of their names, like Arta is from Ufa, Russia. So I ask everyone here, when you sign on and you write your little tag here, tell us where you're from. Just having your name up there doesn't do enough. I know we have Bruno Muse, who just joined us from Belgium. Here he's in the Antwerp area.
Yeah, we're not far away.
We've got Greg, who's from Poland. So I want you guys to write down the city and the country you're from so we can kind of welcome that in the process of what it is, so we can see everybody. Already we've got a global reach right now, Claude, that's listening to you. So you did this brass band, you're doing it. How did you get involved with drum set?
So my first drum set actually was washing powder barrels, the carton round washing powder boxes. So my mother used to keep them to use them for whatever, for storing some stuff or whatever, and we would take them, me and my brother, we would take them and use them as drum sets. So the funniest thing is we had like I'd say all size from 3 kilos to 12 kilos plus 2 kilos grad for free. So this was like really like concert tom-toms with the plastic lid on top. We took out the bottom, and then was these carton things we put one after the other, and we had boom, 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 until the lids broke. Then we had to replace them. That was my first drum set. And then during the school holidays, I was allowed to take home the drum set of the local brass band, which I'm fortunate to recuperate, because this is I would call it a transparent, red transparent Hoshino drum set. I have it at home. I need to restore it. That was my first drum set, and I used this. So every holiday I took it home, set it up at my place, and worked like this. And
so did you start taking lessons at this time?
Not yet. So I kind of faked it through the notes during the brass band. So I pretended to be able to read it, but it was all by ear. And they liked it. I guess I was loud and clear, so they liked me, and they
Hey, that's already had you. You were passionate.
Yeah.
And you were into it. So when did you start, like, now, start practicing your own kit? When did you start getting a little bit more serious with it?
So there is one event I like to mention, because this was really a game changer for me, and that was the Super Drumming series from Pete York on German public television. So I don't know whether you have seen these things, but this was a very big win. So you have to imagine a TV show about drums and drummers on German public TV. So this was 86, 87, 88 maybe. And we used to watch that, and we had Simon Phillips,
And-
Billy Cobham.
Yeah. And Pete, who's living in Germany, I think he's originally, was he originally from the UK? Where was Pete
Yes,
from?
yes, he was the drummer of the David Spencer band or something like that.
Right.
Who recently died.
And he put together an incredible television show that, like you said, featured Simon Phillips and Cobham and different people. And I remember that show watching. Was it Super Drums or something like that?
Called Super Drumming, and
Super
they had I think 2 series in an old steel what to call it, where they make steel.
Yeah. Pete.
And then another one in a church or something. And there I got to know so all those drummers. Until then, I listened to music and I played along to music, but I never cared about the drummer. I listened to the music, tried to find. I couldn't mention any name, any whatever. So and there I got to know. So what made a huge impression for me was this bird's eye view on Simon Phillips's drum set from above, and I said, okay, that's what I want to do. That was really, that was the pain. And then I was playing along downstairs, and once my mom said, it's cool, but you're not there yet. And then I started to get serious. In Luxembourg, the classical system, we need first to learn notes. So we need to go to solfege. So age 16, 17, I started solfege. And then 18, 19, I was lucky to be admitted at the jazz classes of the Luxembourg Conservatory. There was Rainer Kind, my first drum teacher, actually, who's as well a Sabian player.
Yeah, and a phenomenal player, I remember.
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely.
Think about this. Pete York puts together this television show that features different drummers. At the time, this was way before the internet. Yes. We're watching all the different drummers. You become influenced by seeing these great players. Yeah. You know, we have today the internet. We have this accessibility where even our visual and spoken word right now is going globally, which is absolutely amazing. And to be able to have experienced that, and Pete York, who's still around playing great. I've done many seminars with him. Pete's a phenomenal player. So you get this teacher now. We have a question here. Check this out here from Arthur, who's from Ufa, Russia. What was your first drum book to study?
Ooh.
Thank you, Arthur.
That's a good question, because so with the study system, the classical, old-fashioned study system in Luxembourg, we had to pass, before I was able to play the drum set, we had to do classical percussion. So one of my first drums, I still have the books, I could take them out, is a French author called Tavernier. So this is classical snare drum studies.
I've seen some of that.
There was another one, yes, I think it's called Delecluse. Pretty, I mean, I recently opened one of those books and I thought, how the heck was I able to do this? So it was really classical stuff with a lot of crescendo, decrescendo. So yeah, my first drum set book was, there were 2. The one I cannot remember name is stuff which I was working with Rainer Kind, and one of them is the Mel Bass Jazz Drum Cookbook.
Yeah.
Because I was accepted to the jazz classes, so it was immediately into jazz and not other stuff. So the jazz shops I really started with. Yeah. So all the independent and things like that. So I would consider Mel Bass Jazz Drum Cook as my first book, indeed.
Boy, that's fantastic. So you got involved with taking lessons. So then you really kind of pursued more of studying. So some of the next teachers that you went to, what happened from that point on?
So besides Rainer, I had, of course, my classical percussion teacher. Unfortunately, I cannot remember his name. And then I was at the Luxembourg Conservatory for several years. I had besides that, I had to take jazz harmony, jazz history, band classes, classical percussion, of course.
Nice.
And I was in classical side. I was getting more into timpanis, which I liked a lot. But at the end, I did not go on with those studies. A little bit of Latin percussion, and then at the end of my 21st, I think it was my 21st year. So at the end of my school, I went for 1 year to the Future Music School in Aschaffenburg. That's where I met Klaus. That's where I saw you for the first time during a workshop. That's where I had the chance to have a day full of lessons with Jim Chapin.
So we got to explain now. The School of Future Music, this was a school that was in Aschaffenburg. Aschaffenburg is probably about a 45-minute drive in Germany outside of Frankfurt.
Yes.
And that's where, Klaus had originally lived. And I had been invited on behalf of Sabian to do a clinic at the school. Yeah. I said, I want someone.
Remember that very well.
And I said,
you were playing things, and I was like, what the heck is he doing? He was talking, and you're playing on the hi-hat, and on the backside, you were playing your glasses. That was incredible.
Boy, what they remember from my artistic expression. I played my freaking glasses.
What the heck is going on then?
So what happened was I asked the school, I want someone to open up for me. So Klaus had been teaching there. He opened up for me. We played together. And interesting about Jim Chapin would come by there when he would visit Klaus.
Yes.
And do some teaching there. So you had the chance to sit down with Chapin. Yeah. How were those lessons with Jim Chapin?
That was very, very intense, and I remember him as a very, very nice and friendly guy who was opening to everything. He wrote me a nice word in my folders, and of course, in one day you cannot absorb all the Moeller technique and everything which you were saying, but I still remember it well. So afterwards I was sitting in the train trying to remember everything. It was lesson. We were very small. The drum class was very small. I think we were at that moment 4 people, and even if one was absent, we were 3. So it was very intense. He showed us everything. We were talking about things afterwards. He played. So in the after lunch we had we always had the band class.
Yeah.
And he was opening up. If I remember well, he took over jazz tune, and then we would play it as well. So that was fantastic. I still have his documents, what he handed over, which is And I guess that's the time where the connection between Klaus and Jim were becoming really, really solid. And so we have Klaus as the second Jim Chapin today.
It really was fantastic. And Jim went to Germany a lot. Klaus worked a lot with Jim, and I would help Jim organize through Klaus tours throughout Germany and all of Europe. And Klaus would handle that. So Klaus spent much time with Jim and learned Jim's technique at such a high level. And Klaus really is an incredible, messenger of Jim's message and what he did. So it was just absolutely wonderful to see. So here you are now. You're studying with these great players. So you're starting to go through certain books. So what books have you been through? And then you then came here to study with me at my studio.
That was way later. So we had the lessons I did in Aschaffenburg. So it was a 1-year intensive program.
Right.
But it was limited to 1 year. You could not extend. You had the diploma if you passed it. So after that, as books, that during that year, of course, I learned to know so that's when I learned to know about these books. And there's missing one. There's missing one in that's the syncopation. So book, that's what we learned. And then besides that, the Future Music School had their own big folder with
Yeah,
notes. Some of them
they put together. I remember seeing that. Yeah, that was fantastic.
I still have it, and a lot of stuff from Klaus. And then was the other guy, Dieter Steinemann, I'd like to mention, which was my other teacher there.
Another great teacher and
Yeah.
great player. Yeah, Dieter. Yeah.
Indeed. And and afterwards, when I finished this, I had so I was between. I was not really sure if I would go on with the music career, and as well for my side to be a little bit secure. I started university in Belgium.
Wow.
And that's why how I came over to Brussels. So I studied social sciences. I liked it a lot, and I combined it a lot with percussion. So at one point, I was really ready to do to pursue into music therapy, because I did, for example, percussion classes in a closed psychiatry.
Right.
Which pretty tough cases. So and for study, and so that was pretty interesting. Yes, and
Wow.
then right after my even during the last years of university, I got really busy into playing around Brussels, and then I had so many projects that at the end, as soon as I got my diplomas, I was never looking for another job. So yeah.
Well, that's pretty powerful when you think about it. So now you made the move from Luxembourg, you come to Brussels, you're at school there, and you're basically living on your own now.
Yeah.
Balancing all these different schoolwork and percussion.
Yeah. What I as well had, and there was a big chance. So I was offered during my studies in Aschaffenburg. So at the age 21, 22, I think I was offered already a job as a teacher. A thing which I like to do, really like to do it. So first they gave me half a day, and then very quick I had the whole Saturday, and later on even Friday and Saturday. So this gave me the possibility to live pretty decently during my studies.
Yeah.
So I did not search for another student job, whatever. I had this regular income at that moment already. Besides, of course, the help from my parents, so which I cannot deny.
Absolutely.
I'm very thankful. So yeah.
The support from your parents is always a blessing. They want you to be successful. So now here you are living on your own, making it work. And but you still were pursuing studies. You were still constantly learning.
Yeah. So learning never stopped, even for my social sciences studies. Even nowadays, so I'm even if I'm not in that business, but I still president of JAWS organization in Brussels. So I have a small foot in that business. That's cool. I like it. Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. So
yeah.
So when did you start coming to the States to study with me? Because you came here 4 different times to study with me here.
I think the first time was 2007.
And what I'm always impressed about is students like yourself. You booked the flight, you booked the hotel, you came by here, you invested in wanting to learn. And when you came by here, which is so exciting, tell them about our first session together.
Yeah, so this was very funny. So I came over for a whole week. I previously made good friends with a guy originally from New York who was there. So I was able to crush at his place for a complete week, and then I just had to do the train from Brooklyn to your place. And then I got there and. You did not even let me play the drums, and I flew home without having touched the drums. Yeah, it was what the heck was that? But
how was that lesson?
Yeah, that was again a big mind changer, an eye opener with all the techniques about German, French. So even if I had the lessons before with Jim Chapin and Klaus Sassler, there was not the time to to do this details.
Yeah.
So, and this with the free stroke and all these things that really changed my playing a lot.
You know, it's kind of interesting when I see someone like yourself who's got the drive and the passion to want to do this. I look at it like it's an investment where if I can invest this information into you and you can go on back to where you're from and make this happen. This to me is the greatest honor and feeling of gratitude and humility, because I've been to your place in your studio. I've done a master class there.
Yeah,
I think I was there with Massimo Russo, if I'm not mistaken.
Massimo was there as well, yes.
We did a class together in your studio, which is a phenomenally built room that's adjacent to your house, which is fantastic, which I'll talk about in a second. But you came by here, and the investment in your time when you came by here, I'm saying, boy, if I can get you to understand these techniques from my teachers, from Shelly Manne and Morello and Chapin, and get all this bigger picture, here you are back now in Luxembourg and living in Brussels, teaching this stuff where normally this information would not have been taught or even known.
Yeah, or known wrongly.
Or even more important is incorrectly. So with this here, so here you are now. So you build this studio in your home now. Just talk about that studio in designing that studio.
Yeah. So you might remember my apartment in Brussels. So as when I got together with my wife Stefania, we were looking for a bigger place. So we were looking for a house best close to her work, because she needs to go there every day. Me not. I can stay at home. So with a garage or whatever where I could put my studio. So I did this complete studio myself. Took out everything and then made it a room building. So I step out of the room and I'm home. So I just open one door and I'm home. I'm totally isolated. I can my daughter can sleep upstairs. I can play the drums whenever I want. Was a big investment and was a lot of work I did myself, but I like doing these things. And now I have it.
What was so impressive is when we did the lessons, when I came to Belgium and we did a lesson at your old place, you had a little room downstairs by the garage area.
In the garage, yes.
That had a little drum set in there, and we'd go in there. And when I came in there, you would fly here to take lessons. I'd go by there and show you more stuff. And it was amazing that you were really putting the time into it. And you had that little room. Then when you made the move, and Stefania is absolutely wonderful. She is incredibly supportive of what you're doing. She's an incredible, wonderful person. And she's a true Italian also in the process.
Yes.
She's just fantastic with it. And you have this incredible balance of your family and your wonderful daughter, Sarah, who I believe is 8 years old today.
8 today, yes. We're having a small things this evening as a dessert with a candle, and then tomorrow she needs still to go to school, and then she's having a party on Saturday.
This is Claude. What I want everyone to understand is this is the proudest moment of my students, that here you are pushing the art form. You're in Brussels. You've got your home. You've got your family. You've got your wonderful daughter and wife. You've got that going on. You've got this studio that's adjacent to your home that you can walk into and be in the studio. And you're making it happen. And you've also written several drum books that are published throughout the world, of course, throughout Europe. This is incredible. So you're really in the thick of doing it. So I want you to explain now. Let's talk about the drum books first. Then I want to get involved with the teaching. Talk about your books that you've put together.
Yeah. So I started actually I always like to write down ideas. So I have more in the shelves, but it's not time yet to take them out.
Yeah.
Done. You have seen some of them. So, but it's not. We're not there. So we have. What I did quite some time. So I started this a long time ago. Ternary drum set playing, because I did not find for my students, I did not find methods which were really deep into triplet stuff, 12/8 rhythm, 6/8 rhythm, and so on. We had a lot. So the triplet things very often is just a small part of the book.
Right.
So you have your 8 note beats, and you play a triplet fill, but then it. So I thought let's write down some stuff which is only about triplets. So it's as if it was a beginner's book, but it's talking only about triplets, and this starts from very let's say very easy until more tricky stuff like including quartuplets and doublets and so on.
But here's what I was impressed with, Claude. When the idea first came out, it was just this book.
Yeah.
And this was a smaller version.
Yeah.
So you put this together with the binding, you found a publisher, you made this happen on your own, man. This was really fantastic. Then as you expanded the idea, you then turned it into the book that you have now, which is a bigger version of this idea of
So it's 2 volumes bind together. So first this the one you have under your hand was the volume 1. A little bit later I published volume 2, and then together with the publisher, which is a digital music print from Antwerp in Belgium, we decided to join them because they might be more interesting like that. Yes.
Fantastic. Absolutely.
So that was the first thing I did. And then afterwards, actually recently, is 1.5 years ago that it's published, I was asked to do something for beginners.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of beginner stuff out. So I wanted to take it from slightly different angle, not too easy, but not too academic neither.
Right,
so what I chose is really to put, unlike the other ones, a lot of pictures and a lot of text. The other one does not have any text at all. Here we have as well. So everything explained about the drum set, about
But you also show a variety of pictures of different drum setups.
Yeah,
you had asked me to be a part of that, and we put that.
Yeah. Because this is what the kids they if they flicking through the pages, that's what wow, whose drum set is that, and so on. That's kind of cool. Wow, is this? But I mean, Phil Collins is, everybody knows it. But let me show yours, and then they say, who is this guy, and so on. And then I tried to have really a big variety of drum sets to show that a drum set it's the most fantastic instrument, because you can build, add, take off whatever you want. You cannot do this with a piano. If you have a synthesizer or whatever, you have the sounds which are in there. So we build and we build up. So for me it was important to show, like, for example, this set, just two cymbals, which is Mark Juliana, fantastic drummer. He plays with 2 cymbals only. Whereas then, for example, I had the chance to get yours.
Joost Nickel, fantastic.
That is your setup with your idea of having everything twice, right on the left, right on the right, hi-hat left, hi-hat right. Beautiful. And then some people use a lot of cymbals. Some people use a lot of drums. So if I have, like, for example, if I take out, which is it? So Klaus Hessler setup, which is very interesting as well.
Very unique setup.
All the different with the belts, for example.
Klaus is such a phenomenal player. I've had him here discussing, and he's just another phenomenal player. And again, creative. So showing all these different drum sets, you've allowed your students to kind of see creative ideas of what they can have. Maybe 2 ride cymbals, 2 sets of hi-hats. You're really opening their mind that way. So all the books that you have that you've written, they're all available on your website, right?
They're available on our website, and via a link they go immediately to the publisher.
So and your website is claudehoffman.com. Is that what it is? Okay, so I want to make sure everyone
double N. Otherwise, you might up somewhere else.
Double F, for sure.
Yeah,
I want everyone to make sure that they understand that in that process is go there and research. Go to claudehoffman.com. Go there, check out the books, and if they're interested, pick up the books and start to experiment. This is out of the mind of someone that again is not an American or North American based mentality. You came from brass bands to conservatory to drum set, to jazz, to rock, to fusion.
Yeah.
You really have opened up a wider range of how you've learned, which is what I love about this SEND program, that we're able to deliver these ideas to everyone in what it is. Now let's talk about your teaching now. You're teaching at a school that you have in Brussels, right?
No, I'm a private teacher in Brussels, so it's not officially a school. It's people come to me because it's me.
But it's a school that you teach at.
That's in Luxembourg. So in Luxembourg, I have in Luxembourg I have two different different jobs. So one at a public school and one at a private school.
Right, that's what I remember, yeah.
At the public school, I do not always teach drum set only, but I could even teach bands, pick up a bass, and go with the kids. Meanwhile, somebody else plays the drums. So this is changing over the years, depends on what public we have. And then I have the private music school, where I have one-on-one drum set students only, yes.
So you make the drive from Brussels to Luxembourg. How far a drive is it?
So this is, let's say, a little bit more than 2 hours.
Okay, so 2 hours you're driving from Brussels, you're in Luxembourg, you teach there, and you come back. So between the Luxembourg schools that you're at, plus the private lessons that you have in Brussels, you really have maintained a full schedule of what you're doing, which is, and writing books.
Pretty much. And the funny thing is now, during COVID, I have more and more requests. So this is really funny. So I even have students who started online.
Yeah.
So which started the drum lessons with me online, or which I did not know before. And then as soon as we were more relaxed and we were allowed again to make live lessons, they came to me live. Yeah.
So when you're teaching at your studio there now, students will come into you. You're wearing a mask. They're wearing a mask,
totally.
And you're socially distancing. So you're keeping that going on. That's fantastic.
So this is a very important part, because I'm convinced that we need to be careful, and I'm convinced too that social distancing, all the barriers are the important thing. So I changed my strategy a little bit on teaching. For example, that I had always the pad station, which is in the other angle right now. We were sitting close, shoulder to shoulder, like we do in front of the mirror, the classic way, which is great because you see each other, you can talk nicely, and you could eventually grab the other one's arm. So we cannot do this, at least not for the moment. So what I did, I put the pad station like what is it, almost 4 meters away. Yeah. So I have the angle with the white drum set over there. That's the student's drum set with the pad station for the kid behind, with the mirror and everything. And my pad station is on the same wall, a little bit more up. So I have a 4 meter distance from the students. Yeah. Of course, you have, and wearing a mask, you have to rethink about the way you study. The way you teach. Because doing this, so a lot of your unverbal communication is just shut down. So you need to talk more, or to do it in a different way. The kids, for example, if you have a mask, they desperately searching for your face. Yeah. They want to see, do you smile? Are you looking angry? Are you doubtful, or whatever? So you need to tell them this. Yes. Instead of doing like smiling behind the curtain, and they don't see it. So it's different. But there's a lot of, you have to think about that when you do it. But it's possible. It's definitely possible. So as soon as we were allowed to teach live again, everybody was back, and we're doing this way. Of course, wash your hands before you come, sanitizer available, and so on. Yeah.
Well, this really is fantastic, and I want people to, especially the American side of what's happening. 4 meters is about 12 feet, so that's a pretty big distance that you have. that you're communicating. So it's very, very
I'm glad to have a big room. Yeah, so I have a 40 square meter room, which is fantastic. So yeah.
I mean, and 40 square meters, that's 120 feet. That's a nice sized room. We were in there we had several drummers on pads. It was jam packed. So I remember the time that we had there. Were you doing any online teaching when the pandemic hit? Was there online teaching with doing it?
Yeah. So when we had to stay home, so the first almost 2 months, I think it was 6 weeks, where you're not allowed to do anything, not even go to the shops. I did online teaching. Not everybody was back. So some, for whatever reasons, you never know, if you they don't like that you see inside the house or whatever. But I did indeed swap over to online lessons. So I learned about Zoom. I learned about other. In Luxembourg, for example, all the students, they have a Microsoft Teams account. So this is very easy to reach them. I put 2 cameras, tried little different angles and so on.
Yeah.
But as soon as indeed when we were allowed to meet again, this went down close to zero. Just occasionally I did an online lesson, and I don't have as well people from very far away which would do online lesson like you would have somebody from Russia, from I don't know wherever. I don't have those students.
Yeah. Well, and now again with the online teaching, and from my global travels, I've got students from over, 40 plus countries that are studying with me now online. So it's pretty intense to see how, like you said, we have to learn how to teach differently.
Yes.
The rest of what this is. But this really is. I got an interesting question here from Dave Lewitt. Check this out here. What is the equivalent book to Syncopation in Europe? Syncopation is a strong book in America.
Yes.
Is there a book that in the European code of learning, are there books that you use that are specifically, or are they just the books like Syncopation? And great question, Dave. Thank you so much.
I think there is not. So we have we have, yes, there is books I should mention, even if personally I would range them in the very old-fashioned dusty hooks of the shelf, but they are important books, which are the Agostini books.
Yeah.
So Agostini is a French author, a very important one. I think he started writing his books in the 50s for drum set, a period where drum set was not that common in Europe.
Absolutely.
And it was only known for the jazz that came over from America.
Yeah.
Before the Beat Minute. So with the Beatles, it all started. But in the 50s, I should look up when maybe I found an Agostini. So and he did a lot the very classical way. So it is a whole series about drum set, and then he has as well note reading books.
Right.
And these note reading books, of course, have the studies of syncopation. They would not call it syncopation, but they would call it eighth notes and eighth note rests.
Right. So it's kind of interesting to see. Now, D'Agostini, I happen to know that and he passed away several years ago. And he wrote many books and produced many students that still continue that book. His wife, wife still continues selling the books.
Yes.
But what he did was, from what I understand, someone told me, he had been influenced by Stick Control, Jim Chapin's book, the jazz.
Could be definitely.
And Syncopation. And I think someone said he came to America and learned from that stuff. And that stuff really at that time was not in Europe. So he came to Europe and adapted his own method, being inspired by that. And D'Agostini put these books together, and they're still being used by many drummers throughout Europe. And not only
sometimes indeed I dig them out. I have, for example, a student who loves to sit at the pad and treat music. So we take out. I use an Agostini book with him for the moment. Indeed.
And D'Agostini's books. I mean, although he was from France, he ended up. The books are all throughout Europe. I've seen them in Belgium. I've seen them throughout Denmark. I've seen them in Germany. I've seen them everywhere. you know?
Yeah, and the books now I don't know if these are later editions, but I always knew the books with 3 or 4 different languages inside.
Yeah, yeah, pretty powerful. It's amazing.
Okay.
Now, what's amazing about it is that, and you've played in several different bands and you've done some recordings that you have. So between balancing playing and of course now with COVID, the playing has kind of stopped in what's happening until we can see what's happening. So with that, you were performing with different bands, but I get a kick out of it. Your setup that you have back there, you've been with Sabian for many years, and I think you're involved with AB Music.
Yes, I've actually been with always. I never played, or let's say like this, I never owned another cymbal brand than Sabian. And this is a very funny story because there's as well some the moments I still remember pretty well. And I have one memory where a friend of mine, a drummer, was sitting next to me in the school bus, and he had a catalog of Sabian. And in this catalog, he explained to me what the difference is between a splash cymbal and a crash cymbal and a ride cymbal. It was 13, 14 maybe. Yeah. And this was a Sabian catalog. And then when I got, I got my own drum set very late. So I was 18. I wanted to have one earlier, but then my parents would say, wait a little bit, don't take a cheapy drum set, because at the end of the 80s, the beginner drum set were not the quality which they are today.
Yeah.
So save a little bit, and then we get a better one. So, and at the age of 18, I could buy my own drum set, and this was a professional drum set, which I still have, and a Sabian AA cymbals. And that's where it all started with Sabian. I just had my Sabian cymbals. I never tried another one.
Yeah, that is fantastic.
And,
so I want you to walk around the kit and kind of explain the cymbals that you have on your set, because you've got a really unique setup with cymbals the way you have it. Just explain your setup.
Yeah. So I have from the drummer's view, left side. So the first one is kind of custom made, which Sabian is an AAX. Do you see that one? Yes. The AAX Ozone 10-inch, but with rivets. So this was my idea, was to be able to play it by hand. So then a pair of hi-hats, which I love, which I got pretty recently, 14-inch Vanguard hats.
Nice.
You see that? Yeah?
Nice.
16-inch Duo Crash, which I love.
Nice.
So it's a little bit old already. And then my preferred ride cymbal. That's a Jack DeJohnette.
Oh, that's the old dry one. Yeah.
Yes.
Now that duo that you had, the Duo Crash, that was a cymbal that was started by another Belgian, Bruno Castellucci.
Yes, indeed. I did indeed. I was a long-term student. I always had for years private lesson at Bruno Castellucci's. Yes, he did. I have as well. So for the jazz, I would indeed go to the 20-inch Duo ride.
Yes, beautiful. And Bruno had this idea. Bruno was the drummer that played with Toots Thielman. Toots Thielman was the harmonica player from Belgium.
Yeah.
World-renowned. Toots Thielman performed with Stevie Wonder and just a jazz. He wrote the song Bluesette, very, very famous song.
Yeah.
So what's amazing about it is that Bruno played with him, and Bruno had the desire to want to have that ride. So Sabian open-mindedly listened to Bruno.
Again, this was it was the beginning with the double surfaces. Indeed.
Yes, the lathing and non-lathing surface. Fantastic. So
I remember I was at. Sorry.
Then you have the DeJohnette ride there.
Yeah.
So you're able to go from that. That's a pretty interesting combination that you have there.
Yeah. So this is very dry. This is the first. I was looking for this for years, and luckily I found one second-handed, so in a very good shape. And the funny thing is, this is going marvelously well together with the garage ride, an 18-inch garage ride, which is developed by Klaus Hassler.
And
those they met perfectly.
This is why I want people to realize that Sabian globally, listens to everyone. So Bruno's from Belgium, Klaus from Germany. When I had kind of introduced Klaus to Sabian as a student of mine, I brought him into the family, like with yourself. And with that, when you guys have ideas, Sabian listens. And that garage ride. So what's the symbol that's in between the garage ride and the Dijonette?
Small ones here.
Yeah, what are those?
And that's an 8-inch HH splash and 7-inch Evolution splash.
Oh, nice.
I have as well the 10-inch. So this one, I sometimes I change it with the. So it depends on what I do with the 10-inch Evolution. So I'm swapping them. I basically keep my set like it is there, but then I change all cymbals or like, for example, I have the pair of bongos here, which I play with the sticks, which could be as well a 14x8 deep snare drum or a 12-inch piccolo snare drum. So the setup stays like this, but the different elements they can change. The garage ride for a rock thing could be a big crash cymbal. Fantastic. For example, my favorite crash cymbal is an 18-inch Elsa. So at that time they called it crash ride. Yeah. But it's a beautiful crash. It has this sound control border.
Yes. With the edge of the cymbal around kind of
slightly bended up. Yes, I love that concept.
And El Sabor, the taste. That was
yes,
so
yes. So it's not to be it's not like the El Sabor that's in the program right now, which is a hand cymbal.
Hand cymbal, yeah.
This is a rather big cymbal, but it's a nice AA, but a very dark sound for being an AA.
Yeah, yeah. How fantastic! Absolutely fantastic. Then what do you have next over there?
Next over here is a 17-inch Evolution HHX Evolution.
Fantastic.
This as well could sometimes change if it's more rock like I would go for an 16 or even 18-inch explosion crash.
Yeah.
And then next to it is my closed hi-hat is 13-inch duo heads. Which for the funny thing is the board. You cannot see this nicely, huh? Let me take it off.
Look at this, man! Great stuff, man.
Yeah. Actually, never saw it anywhere in a catalog. So the 14-inch duo heads, I have them as well. There, I like the. Let me take that over here. It's lying here. So
this is what I want everyone to see: the creativity of.
I have many cymbals, and I love them all. So that's a 14-inch duo head at the top, but the 13-inch duo head is like this, with this edge. So and it's very particular, and I love it, and I have it over here as a closed cymbal. And then finally the one which everybody has and everybody loves.
Yeah.
That's the 18-inch.
The Ozone.
Yeah.
What a beautiful symbol, and the creativity. The creativity that Sabian has to offer us these sounds is amazing. But on top of that, it's the creativity that you have to put this. This is a really fantastic, unique mixture of Sabian product.
And they mix well. I might still. So I have, if one day I might like to have on this side a very thin 18-inch duo crash.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's not in the catalog anymore. But I've seen one as a prototype at Bruno Castellucci's years ago. So if I find a very thin one, that might even better in here. I love the evolutions, of course. My student set over there has a complete evolution set with the ride with a 13-inch evolution hi-hat with 18-inch evolution crash, and then there's for the moment there's a 16-inch explosion crash on it. Yeah. So and then it's more downstairs. Yeah. Like I have an Octagon. No, what is it called again? The what's the name again? With the 6.
The Octagon.
Octagon, yeah.
Yes, the Octagon, the eight angles.
Eight, yeah. Records very nicely. So if you hear it like that, you would say that's a bit weird. But in a recording situation. I've seen Larry London. I think it's even on the. You remember the tape you did for the Larry London scholarship, or what was it?
Yeah, there was
And I seen him playing this cymbal for, was it for Elvis Presley? Well,
it was. Larry was a fantastic performer. He died in 1992, I guess it was. That he died.
I must have been there. Way too early, of course.
Yeah, absolutely, and just a fantastic player. But he was a real dedicated Sabian artist. Yeah. He loved the creativity of sounds. He was in the studio a lot, so his whole theory was, what happens in the studio might not sound great live but you adapt to where you are. And he had an incredible array of cymbals that he always got great sounds.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, that is fantastic. Boy, what a fantastic setup, Claude. It's really kind of great to see the incredible intensity that you have. You're making it happen, Claude. I'm so proud of you, man. You've got the balance of artistic skills, that you're still an incredible student of the art form. You've got incredible business skills that you're teaching out of your home. You built the studio. You've got the schools in Luxembourg that you're going down for. You've got great relationship with people around the world. And on the personal side, you've got an incredible family that you're going to celebrate your daughter's birthday tonight, which just means that you're successful at a high level. You've got books published. I ask everyone, go to ClaudeHoffman.com. Go there, check out his products, pick up the books. You'll find some good teaching materials there to all you teachers that are out there. And we've got so many players that have come out here. My gosh, look at this here. We've got Arthur again. Jack DeJohnette Cymbal Series is absolutely great. Sounds great. Thanks, Arthur. We've got, Dave Lewitt. Rest in peace, Larry London. He was off. My gosh, we have so many great players. Bruno Muse, HHX rules, man. He's over here. So great. Look at this here. We've got Lee Fairley. Sabian by far has the best selection for rides, hands down. I love my 21-inch AAX Big Bell Metal X ride. I love it. All these
there is no bad Sabian cymbal.
It really is pretty amazing, right? That we have these great cymbals.
They are different, but they all sound amazing. Even the cheap ones, the B8. I have, for example, a B8 Pro Chinese, which I love. I don't use a lot of Chinese and anymore since these are around, but they all sound great.
Boy, that is fantastic. Well, we have Joe Bergamini joined us here, and Joe, of course, manages the Sabian education program. Joe says hello. It's just so great to have all these different drummers that have joined us. We have had drummers from all throughout the world, from South America to Canada, to, of course, in the U.S., all throughout Europe, Russia. We've got people coming from everywhere here, which is absolutely incredible. Thank you so much to have this opportunity, Claude, to come into your home.
I thank you. I thank Sabian. Thank you, Joe. This is a fantastic thing. I try to be there every time it's possible for me. Because you learn so much from different point of view, different situations now with the COVID, how one handles this, what ideas he has to move on.
Well, you have shared some great ideas here, so we thank you so much. What's amazing? I've got a saying, steel sharpens steel. We use steel to sharpen steel, and it is truly man that sharpens man. And you have sharpened us today. You've given us some great ideas. With your book ideas, with the setup that you have, with the teaching that you're doing, just absolutely fantastic.
Thanks.
We look forward to more communication, Claude. Keep it well. Enjoy your daughter's birthday tonight. Have some fun with it. We thank everyone that joined us here. Thank you, Sabian, for this opportunity, being able to reach everybody worldwide and just share these ideas and have this level of communication. I love it when everybody joins on and writes their countries that they're from. We get a chance to see where it's from. Between Facebook, Sabian Facebook, and between the Sabian YouTube channel, everybody go there, check it out. Claude, you'll see some of the comments here. You can respond to them.
Yeah, I will. Thanks, everybody, for joining.
Thank you so much, Claude. Stay well, and everybody, thank you so much.
Yes.
I'll see you next week.
Yes, totally, definitely.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Goodbye.